Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from a translation of a voice note that I received, and the translation reads like this. Hello brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my story as hidden identity? I have my own story that I want to share with you, and I am hoping that after I have shared with you my own story, and after you have posted my story on your platform, it is going to help the people that listen to your platform, especially if they are women. They need to be very, very careful when they are dealing with men, because there are some things that I did, and when I think of this story, this confession that I am about to give you, I am not even proud of it. So when I had arrived here in South Africa, I then started working for this other company. The company was doing gardening services. This company that I was working for, the owner of that company was a black man. He was the one who had that garden service company that I was working at. So this company, Brother Nashi, we used to go and clean up people's houses. Most of the houses that we would go to, we would clean up the yards, and most of these people that had these houses, they were wealthy black South Africans who were staying in the suburbs. So when the man that I was working for got to know that I had the talent of being able to prophesy, because at that time I had a dream, and in this dream it seemed as if that this man's wife, because he was taking his wife to university at that time, so I saw it in my dreams that soon after she was going to graduate, she had already made some plans with another man, and she was going to dump her husband. So I told this man about this dream that I had, and when I told him this dream, he didn't believe me. But after a little while, that was when he came to me, and when he came to me, he almost cried, and he said that indeed I was a true man of God, because everything that I had told him, it had become reality, and he was thankful that God had sent me to him so that he won't waste his money anymore on his wife, because he thought that if he was going to upgrade his wife, then in return his wife was going to upgrade him after his wife had gotten a job. Because my boss, he was such a good man, and his wife was now taking advantage of him. So as someone who had his spiritual eyes opened, the first time when I saw my boss's wife, when I looked at my boss, I saw that this marriage, there was nothing but trouble that was waiting for my boss, because my boss wife, she was more than beautiful. She was quite a very beautiful woman. She looked more like an angel. And when I looked at my boss, he was a man who just knew like how to please his wife, like running around trying to put food on the table. All that he was good at was being a hustler. But now that he was taking his wife to university, she was going to think that he was nothing, because she would start to come across men that were well educated, and she would think that she was much better than her husband. This is the vision that had been shown to me by God in that dream. And I told my boss that even if he was going to continue living with his wife in this marriage, it was not going to succeed, because already his wife had already started cheating on him. And after she was going to get a good job, then she was going to reveal her true character to her husband. I then gave that warning to my boss, and after I had given him that warning, at first he could not accept that warning that God had told me to give to her. But after he had found out that indeed his wife was cheating on him, that was when he came back to me and he told me that his wife had been cheating on him because he had seen a lot of chats on his wife's phone, and these chats, they were evident enough that she had been sleeping around with some men that she had met in university. He then said to me that he can't divorce his wife because they had been married, and he had spent a lot of money on his wife. When he was paying the bride price, he said that I should do some prayers so that the prayers can help him to fix everything that was going wrong in their marriage. even though I knew that this man, he was going to get a heartbreak, but this was his own decision. So I tried to pray for the man, and I gave him some prayers, and I told him that he had to put the prayers in the juices which his wife would be drinking, so hoping that maybe his wife's behavior was going to change. But everything that God had showed to me in the vision, it seemed as if this was the wife's character. She was not going to change. She was someone who enjoyed sleeping around. Then my brother, he then asked me if I was able to do some prayers for him so that his businesses can also be successful, that same business that he had for cleaning people's yards. And when I had done some prayers for him, that was when he had his first client. And this client that he had now, it was a white man. After this white man had approached him and gave him a contract, that was when we started going and to do some garden services at that white man's yard. And that man then started recommending that man's services to his other friends. So my boss was really happy and excited because this was bringing in a lot of money in his company. My boss then told me that he had spoken with his other friend who was out of the province. They had gone to school together. This man, he was back in Durban, where my boss came from. He then told me that he wanted my friend to come and fetch me in the province where I was staying, and he was going to take me back to Durban where he was staying so that I can fix everything that was going wrong in his businesses. I was then taken back by my boss's friend to Durban after he had came to the province where I was staying. When I returned back, Brother Nashi, from the moment that I entered into my boss's friend's yard, I saw that there was a lot of goblins that were coming into that yard. They used to come into that yard late at night. I was shown all of these things in a vision. So these goblins, they were the ones that were causing a lot of troubles in his businesses. And I also saw in that vision that that man, he was not able to satisfy his wife. But at that time, when I was busy giving my boss's friends all of the prophecies that I had seen in a vision, I don't know why I skipped that part where I had been shown that he was unable to satisfy his wife in bed. I am not even sure why I skipped that part. Maybe it was because of me being afraid to humiliate him, because when I was praying for him, he had called his workers. He was someone who did everything whilst his workers were there. That was why I skipped that part where I had seen in a vision that his wife, she was not happy with the way things were going in the bedroom. And I had also seen that this man's wife, she had set her eyes on this other man who was very close to her husband, and soon enough they were going to get involved in a relationship. So Brother Nashi, that man who had came to pick me up, he was a man who was very busy. The very next morning, he then took me around and he showed me his businesses which are in town, and I started strengthening his businesses. He then told me that whenever he would be too busy, what I had to do is that I had to pray with his wife and his workers, because this man, he had 2 gardeners and a maid. So early in the morning, sometimes before I could even wake up, that man would have already left home going to work. So what we will do is that after having breakfast, then that man's wife, she would call me, then we would have a prayer session together. Then there was this other day, Brother Nashi, when that woman called me, and when she called me, she asked me to have a prayer session with her, but in her bedroom. I said, why in your bedroom? Then she said that there are some secrets that I want to tell you, and I am afraid that at the time when you will be praying for me, maybe those secrets will be revealed to you and you end up exposing me in front of my workers, and I don't want such secrets to get out of hand. I then said, no, we cannot do that. I cannot enter into your husband's bedroom with you without having anyone so as to witness what we'll be doing in your bedroom. She then said, is it okay if I can come to your bedroom? I said, okay, fair enough, you can come. But my brother, she said, but if I come into your bedroom, then my maid will think that maybe there is something that we are doing that is not okay. I said, so where are we going to do this prayer? She said, it's fine, I'll make another plan. Later on during the day, that was when she came. And when she came, she said that she was going to bath and she will come back so that we can have the prayer session. I said, are your maid going to come? Then she said, no, she is not going to come because I have sent her to the mall with my little daughter, because my little daughter wants something there at the mall. So it is going to be me and our 2 gardeners. I said, it is fine. Then after 5 minutes, then she came back. And when she came back, she was really smelling fresh. And she entered into my bedroom and I started to feel bad things in my body, like feelings, me wanting to take her to bed. But as she entered into my bedroom, I kept on praying and praying, and she was wearing a nightgown. I then asked her where her 2 gardeners were. Then she said, they are too busy, we just need to do this quick prayer session so that I can go to sleep, I am feeling very tired. Then she knelt down in front of me as I started praying for her. She said, it is very hot. She then removed a nightgown, and when she removed a nightgown, Brother Nashi, I then saw that God had placed an obstacle in my path, such an obstacle that I could not even get past, because I saw that this woman, she was wearing a very short red night dress, so much that you could see everything that was underneath that red night dress that she was wearing. In the way that she was kneeling down, it was in such a way that she wanted her little night dress that she was wearing to reveal everything that was underneath, Brother Nashi. And when she knelt down, I saw everything. I felt to control myself, and as I prayed for her, I then started touching her. Then she responded to me. After she had responded to me, then we slept together. And from that day that we slept together, that woman then started telling me that she wanted more of me, because I had given her something that she had never been given in her life. I then started planting some prayers in that man's house, and these prayers that I was planting all over that man's house, it was such that the man will never suspect that I was now sleeping with his wife. And I wanted to make sure that the 2 gardeners and the maid, their eyes would be closed so that they won't suspect anything as well. So what we'll do is that, Brother Nashi, as soon as that man would have returned back from work, I would have already given that man's wife some river stones. There were 3. Each and every day I will give her 3 different river stones, and then I will instruct that man's wife to place those river stones at the foot of the bed after that man had gotten into bed. 1 at the foot of the bed, then 1 on the left side of the bed, then 1 on the right side of the bed, such that this man, when he will be sleeping in his bed, it will be like he will be trapped inside a triangle. Throughout the night, he won't be able to wake up. And this is what we used to do each and every night. That man's wife, after placing all of those stones, then that man will go to sleep like dead asleep, and he would never wake up. He would only wake up the following morning, after I had instructed his wife to wake up and to go and remove those prayers. So for many nights, Brother Nashi, I used to sleep with that man's wife whilst her husband was dead asleep. How could he have ever woken up? Because I had laid out a spiritual trap for him that was keeping him asleep throughout the night. So Brother Nashi, at that place there in Durban, I stayed for about a month, and after I had left, I suspected that maybe this woman, she had fallen pregnant. I never asked her if she was pregnant or anything. I just returned back to the province where I was staying, and at that time she had told me that she was not using any family planning pill at all. And when I said that it is better that we condomize, she said that what is the use of us condomizing, because my husband does not give me anything. It is better that I enjoy for this little time that God is given us to enjoy. So I suspect that by the time that I left Durban, maybe she could have fallen pregnant. I then returned back home, and when I returned back home, Brother Nashi, I had one intention only. I wanted to visit this other man who was a good friend of mine, but he is a herbalist. I wanted that man to give me some charms so that by the time that I will return back to South Africa, then I will use those charms on that woman so that she can get divorced to her husband. And after divorcing a wealthy husband, I knew that she was going to get something out of her marriage, and she was going to share with me everything that she was going to get out of her marriage. But unfortunately, when I returned back to South Africa, I could not reach her anymore. Whilst I was on the bus, Brother Nashi, I was sleeping and I was fast asleep. Then I saw that in the bus there were two men that walked, and when they walked into that bus, I saw that one man, he was my boss, and the other man, it was that same man that I had been sleeping with his wife whilst I was at his house. And my boss and his friend, they were both holding guns, and I woke up. After I had woken up, I saw that this vision meant that I was going to die. I then spoke with my other brother who was staying in another province. That is where I ended up going. Since then, Brother Nashi, I have never dared to get anywhere near Durban because I am afraid of the vision that I saw, because most of the things that I dream about, they are bound to happen. So I want people to be very careful, especially when you invite people into your home, so that those people that you would have invited into your house, they can strengthen your businesses or your home. You need to be very careful, because let us be honest with each other. A prophet is also a human being. We have feelings as well. Like in my case, everything that happened to me, I could not even conquer that woman's seduction because of her beauty. So I ended up falling in love with that man's wife. And me being a prophet, I knew how to perform some prayers that were going to shut that man's eyes, and I even did some prayers so that when I was still staying at his house, he won't have any feelings towards his wife. That was why he was not even concentrating on his wife whilst I was staying at his house, because at that time I didn't want him to share with me his wife. I wanted his wife all to myself. So I want people to be very careful when they invite people into their homes, especially people that they do not know about their history, because you do not know what are the intentions of that person that you will be inviting into your home. So please be careful out there.